All right, dividing fraction word problems. So before we go into actually word problems, let's look and see what division is and why do we actually get to flip the divisor. It's going to help us in actually setting up these problems when we get to the word problems. So if you have 6 divided by 3, one way of looking at it is 6 divided into groups of 3. So what we're doing is counting them out, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then the answer tells us how many groups of 3 we get. So if you did 4 divided by a half, you're taking each of these, cutting them in a half, right? And telling us how many half groups we have. Well, we have a total of 8. 8 half groups, right? Same thing with a third. If you take 2 and you divide it into third, you're cutting each of them into thirds, and they're finding, well, how many thirds do you have? 6 of them. So there's 6 groups of a third. And that's how you can look at division. The first number tells us what's our total that we have. The second one is telling us the size that we're cutting it into. We're cutting them into size halves. How many are there? So I want you to try these 3 using pictures. All right? And then use the algorithm and see if you can figure out, well, why does it flip? Okay? So flip it and then see if your answer matches. So I'll get you started. And you're going to cut it into thirds. How many groups are there? And then use the algorithm. So we're supposed to flip it. Okay? So try them. Hit pause. Actually, we already started. Let's just figure it. 1/3, we have 1, 2, 3. 3 of them. And there you go. Same exact answer. And pow, there's the rest of them. So if you wanted to go back and hit pause and try it again, but just to save a little bit of time, here we go. So if you had 2 and 1/4, 2 divided by 1/4, it means you'd have 2 of them. And we're cutting each one into fourths. So that means we would have a total of 8 1/4. And if you kind of think back, 8 1/4 is what we had before. That was multiplication. And if you multiply it, you get 2. Remember, multiplication, division, back and forth. But that's one way to think about it as well. All right. But if we did the algorithm, 2 divided by 1/4, we flip it, and there you go, it's 8. See? Same exact thing. So you can draw pictures, or you can use the algorithm. They both work. This one's a little bit trickier, though. So you had 6 divided by 3/4. We used the algorithm. So we flipped it, reduced, and multiplied, and gave us 8. And if you look at, I've cut each one into 3/4. 3/4 is a little bit trickier, but look, we have yellow. That's 3/4. Blue is 3 out of the 4. It's 3. You're just counting 3. We've already cut it into 4, so you just count out 3 of them. So 3 pink, 3, I think that's a green, 3 orange, 3 light blue, 3 red, and 3 purple. And if you count them up, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. 8 groups of 3/4. That's all the division really means. First number is going to tell us how many we have total, and the second one is the size we're dividing it into, and that's how you can tell it's a division problem. So here we go. It takes 2/3 of a pizza to feed one person. How many people will 4 pizzas feed? So if you look at it, you can tell this is a division because this is what we're cutting it into. This is our size that we want. And then over here, this is how many we have to start. So what we're going to do is take the 4 pizzas, we're going to cut it up into 2/3 sizes for all of our people, and then we want to know how many people. So we're taking the 4 pizzas, and we're cutting it into size 2/3. That's how you can tell it's division. We're getting size 2/3, and how many of them are there. So we can now use our algorithm, and it gives us 6 people. That's it. So the first number tells us the number that we have. The second one's telling us the size we're going to cut it into, or the value of each little piece. And then that's our answer. All right. So let's do one more. It takes 2/5 pounds of mud to fill a belly. How many bellies can 10 pounds of mud fill? So again, we're starting with 10 pounds of mud, and then we're going to divide it into size 2/5. And how many of those little size 2/5 do we get? So it's 10 times 5/2. We reduce. That's a 5, not a 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25 bellies. That's what we get. So if you had 10 pounds of mud and you're going to fill them with 2/5 pounds, each belly gets 2/5 of a pound of mud, you can do 25 bellies. Kind of get the idea, hopefully. So this is it. You're taking size, cutting it into those sizes. Alright, so try these two. Okay, a highway is 8 miles long. If you walk 3/4, I just completely got the entire sentence there. If you walk 3/4 of a mile every hour, how many hours will it take to walk 8 miles? That's the question. Alright, so 8 miles long. If you walk 3/4 of a mile every hour, how many hours will it take to walk 8 miles? So hit pause and give it a shot. And you should have gotten 10 2/3 hours, or 10 hours, 40 minutes, your choice. But basically we had 8 miles to divide up into 3/4 mile walks. Alright? So we did a 3/4 of a mile, 3/4 of a mile, 3/4 of a mile. How many times would that have to happen? So it's 8 divided into 4/3 would give us 10 2/3 hours. That's it. Alright, the other way to look at division is you can think of it as a reverse of multiplication. Jim has 2/3 times as many cookies as Bob's. So he has 2/3. Jim has 2/3 times as many cookies as Bob. Alright? So Jim has 2/3 as many cookies as Bob's cookies. If Jim has 4 cookies, how many cookies does Bob have? So what we have is this situation. We know Jim's cookies is 4, and he has 2/3 of Bob's. So if you want to find out how many Bob has, well, if you look at it, it's 2/3 times Bob. 2/3 times Bob gives you 4. Well, what's the reverse of multiplication? It's division. So if you take the 4 and divide it by 2/3, do our little flip, we get 6. Bob has 6. How do you check it? Well, Jim has 2/3 of Bob. 4. And there it is. It checks out perfectly. So Bob has 6 cookies. So sometimes it's something divided up into certain size pieces, and then sometimes you can think of it as a reverse of multiplication. So